Really good showpiece competition, much like the 10-meter air rifle for men yesterday.
Yes, and the one to look out for is the battle between Apurvi Chandela and Elahi Ahmadi, because they've duelled all through this year, and at the beginning of September, Elahi won the gold in the World Cup final, which is the season-ending event in shooting, and Apurvi Chandela won the silver medal. Let's not forget Ionika Paul, because last year at the Commonwealth Games, she reached the final. She did start off too well, but showed enough grit to end up with the silver medal despite being last at the end of the first series of 3 shots.
And a couple of exciting young players as well. King Bowman, just 18 years of age, making it through to her final. Youth silver at the Asian Shooting Championships in Nanchang in 2012. So, as always, 20 shots to be made. First 2 sets of 3 shots each, and the first elimination to begin after the 8th shot. From qualification, it was Elahi Ahmadi who has emerged as the most prominent prospect here. Let's see if she can maintain that sort of momentum here in the finals as well.
Yes, and also Apurvi Chandela is someone who's been very consistent this year. Her score was not too high in qualifying, it was 415, but if you look at where she's been shooting through the year, that's where she has been, 416, 415, that's where she is. So it now depends on her how she actually matches up to the Iranians.
Chandela begins with 10.8, Imam Gholi with 10.7. And Ahmadi just falling a little behind, 10.4. Ghatkar, 8.9. So that's the only score which is below 10. And Sir from Singapore has come up with 10.8. She's also another person who's not been spoken about perhaps as often. But Jiang Wei Jasmine Sir is as good as anybody else. Silver in the 2008 championship in Nanjing.
Yes, and also Devan, she's an Olympian. She's won 2 gold medals here at this very range during the Commonwealth Games, and also won a gold in 3 position at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, where Apurvi Chandela herself won a gold as well. So Apurvi has actually not had a very good second shot. She shot a 9.4, but it's between Ionika Paul, 10.5. So really Ionika is catching up after not so very good qualifying.
And Ghatkar gets a 10.8. However, it's Sir who has got 10.7. Her total score from the first 2 shots, 21.5.
Stanislas Lapidus is the foreign coach of India in the dark blue T-shirt, while next to him is Laszlo Shuchak, who's the coach of Iran, who was earlier the foreign coach of India. So the present and former coach of India in that frame.
The first 3 shots have been fired, and Jiang Wei is the one who's leading. 32 is an absolutely astounding figure after 3 points, but Ionika Paul hot on her heels, just 0.5 behind.
And Ionika has shown that she has it in her to actually really go after the competition. But worrying signs for Apurvi Chandela. Remember, Devan, this was being billed as Apurvi versus Elahi, but at the moment Apurvi with those 2 9s has really fallen off the pace. Her mother is here watching this competition, so surely Apurvi will want to raise her game, because all these people who've come here have come to watch her as well.
Kim has got a 10.4. Kim Bo Min, who's just about in the middle of the stage, and Paul just a little disappointing here. Her first sub-10 score in a while. And Ghatkar just brings herself up to 10.4. Ahmadi also, thankfully for Ionika Paul, perhaps only gets 10.0.
So we have Apurvi Chandela on our screens right now at 10.1, but she still finds herself in 8th position. At the end of 8 shots, the lowest ranked shooter will be eliminated, so Apurvi Chandela knows she's in the danger zone.
In fact, Kim Bo Min from Korea, who's in 5th position at the moment, but hot on the heels of her are both the pre-match favourites, Apurvi Chandela as well as Pooja Ghatkar, and of course Elahi Ahmadi. So a topsy-turvy final already, and now the critical 2 single shots. Chandela has also picked up 10.4 and Ghatkar has picked up 10.2. So I have a feeling Paul in the meantime has picked up a 10.9. So it's all up for grabs at the moment, because Ionika Paul has won herself into 1st position now.
Yes, a 10.9, and you can hear the crowd cheering Debayan, because that's the perfect shot. And what a way to reclaim the lead with the perfect shot. She's showing those nerves of steel, which I was mentioning a short while back, which we saw at the Commonwealth Games. But at the moment, worrying signs for Apurvi Chandela. The elimination shot is coming up, and at the moment, she is trailing Pooja Ghatkar, the defending champion, by 1.1 going into the final shot.
Yes, absolutely, no doubt about it. On screens, Jumbo Zorg, who is in 3rd position, in fact, joint 2nd position, tied with her compatriot Imam Gholi. And Jiang Wei has gone up to top position, but Apurvi Chandela, her mother, naturally a little despondent, and the young girl herself Of course, she's already booked her place in the Olympics, but over here, just losing out to a superior field in many respects. 81.3 most days, Digvijay, would see you safe, but not against all these top quality shooters.
And you're having lots of 10.8s, 10.9s happening, Devine. So clearly, Apurvi Chandela will be a bit disappointed that she's not been able to rise to the occasion, but we're having some phenomenal shooting going on here. In fact, the bar has been raised this morning by Najme Khedmati in the junior championship when she really shot very, very well and decimated the field.
The next Indian who will have to raise her game a little, Pooja Ghatkar, the defending champion, because she is also just about that drop zone. 10.7, responds well. Thus far the best shot of this round, 10.4 from Paul. Jumbo Zorg allows a 9.4 to spoil her returns, but Zhang Wei gets a 10.8. So the girl from Singapore is in absolutely scintillating form here.
Yes, she's a very experienced shooter, Deban, and she's someone who's always been under the radar. Let me give you an insight. This is Ionika Paul. As we look at her, she's actually moved up to third now. And Ionika Paul is someone who's been very unlucky. Last year, she was in very good form. She, in fact, at the World Championship, she led after qualifying, but was the first shooter to be eliminated. In the Asian Games, she went in ranked third, and again was the seventh shooter to be eliminated. But now, she's showing that she's learned from her mistakes and is approaching the final differently.
Also 9.8, but that will keep her safe. Paul, in the meantime, fires a perfect shot. 10.9, magnificent firing from the girl from Bengal, and that will put some pressure. In fact, it will definitely whittle down the lead of Jasmine quite significantly.
She's back in the game, Debayan, and for the second time in this final, she's pulled off a 10.9. That just goes to show how focused she is on this final. Her qualifying score may not have been great, but Ionika Paul, remember, does not have a quota place for the Olympic Games, and the Asian Championship next month is her last chance. So she's clearly showing, her parents and her sister are sitting there and watching this final. They've come down from Bombay to watch this, but she's showing that she's in the right groove heading into those Asian Championships.
Kim Bowman, unfortunately, paying the price just for some inconsistent shooting in the last few rounds. Her last two shots, in fact, combined total was just 19.1. That perhaps in this quality field wasn't good enough. She gets a 10.4. Ionika Paul gets a 10.7. Zhang Wei, what can she come up with? 10.5 for her. And Paul has whittled that lead further down. It's only down to 0.7. But in the meantime, Narjis Imam Gholi of Iran will be eliminated. Ionika Paul with a good shot there though.
Yes, a very good shot under pressure. And now what it's done is it's whittled that lead down, and we've got 4 more shots to go. So as it stands, the lead between Ionika Paul and Ahmadi Elahi is 1.1. So she can rest easy and go for that gold medal, because at the moment the favourite Elahi Ahmadi, the World Cup final champion, isn't threatening her. 4 more shots to go, and the next 2 shots will decide who gets through to go to the gold and the silver match.
Yes, we know the medalists. We know that there'll be 1 from Singapore, 1 from Iran and 1 from India. But what colour and what position? That will be determined by the next 4 shots. She gets a 9. Ionika Paul. Her chances of going for gold have been, well, pretty much destroyed by that attempt. Just as we were talking about the fact that she has been pulling off some outstanding shots under pressure. Those last 2 shots, Digvijay, uncharacteristic, and that have cost her a chance to go for gold. Yes,
that has cost her what would have been a very morale-boosting win, and let's hope, even as the family cheers her on, obviously they're very disappointed. Her father himself is a sports person, and he tracks both his daughter's career. Her younger sister, in fact, is a member of the Indian junior trap team, but when she looks back at this competition, she'll know that there was a gold or a silver medal for the taking, and on that crucial moment, her composure deserted her. Clearly has put her up there.
Ahmadi fires a 10.5, so Sir just needs to make sure she gets onto the 9s, and that will be good enough. She's taking her time over this shot. She fires a 10.4, and gold it is for the Singaporean. Outstanding performance. Zhang Wei Jasmine Sir of Singapore take about 208.1 is a final score. Digvijay, outstanding performance.
Yes, she's achieved what she came here for. She was the only shooter from her country to come for the Asian Airgun Championships. She needed practice going into the Asian Championships in Kuwait, and she has delivered at this stage. The favourite has been upset, Elahi Ahmadi, who was actually going for a hat-trick of gold medals at this stage. Laszlo Suchak, her coach, looks on. He knows that on this day, his shooter was beaten by a far more experienced and far more consistent shooter.
In fact, Elahi Ahmadi, a tribute to her ability, the fact that she climbed up from being somewhere around 7th and 8th after the early few shots, and she then really made a resurgent entry into this competition fight. But in the end, Zhang Wei holding her off, always keeping a significant lead going, and in the end winning by quite a significant distance. 1.5 is a tribute to how consistent she was herself.
Absolutely, and we even saw this yesterday when Abhinav Bindra was shooting, that when you reach the 13th, 14th or 15th shots, if you built up a comfortable lead, you can easily absorb the shock of a bad shot. We saw in that in the 17th shot in the men's air rifle final, all three shooters got 9s, but that didn't affect Abhinav so much. He finished on a high. Here you have the silver medalist Elahi Ahmadi of Iran. She led the qualifying with a very high score of 419 plus. But a huge moment for Ionica Paul as she goes in chasing that Olympic quota, which has remained elusive in the last year and a half. This is a good medal to get going into that Asian Championship.
The bronze medal. A very exciting final and an unexpected final. Apurvi Chandela, the first to be eliminated. That in itself was a bit of a surprise. But India finishing on the podium with Ionica Paul.
Absolutely, and that is the beauty of air rifle shooting, and especially the new format of finals. Ionica Paul actually expected to do well for India, and she's on the podium, and it's actually a good comeback for her because she's not been in the best of form of late in the international competition. She's always been on knocking for a quota place for the Olympic Games, but this medal, even as we see Gagan Narang recording something for his camera, he's the most prolific shooter for India, not just on the range, but also with his camera, be it at the Olympic Games, World Championships. Gagan Narang always tells us what's going on in the Indian team.
Chronicles everything, doesn't he? Elahi Ahmadi went into this as the favourite, and she did shoot for most of it as a favourite would. In fact, started poorly, then she fought back rather admirably. 33 years of age, lots and lots of pedigree behind her. 206.6 on most days would be a score you would be quite happy with. But on this day, it was quite difficult to displace Zhang Wei, Jasmine Sir.
Yes, excellent shooting, very consistent shooting, just 1-9 in that entire final. She came down here with a mission, and that mission is accomplished, and clearly she will be very confident heading into the next lot of competitions, because when you beat the person in form, and that too by a very convincing margin of 1.5, obviously you should be a very happy person.
Terrific performance from the diminutive Singaporean 25-year-old.